Thank you so much for being here today. I would like to start with these pictures, our presentation. And I want you to look at them and can you spot any difference? Which picture you feel more connected with? Maybe a lot of teachers like me would feel like we are more connected to the first picture, this one. Or maybe when we ask our students, they're going to say that they are drawn to our next picture, the second one. And in my case, the first picture portrays my childhood. I remember that I grew up watching movies in VHS, that I was waiting for the channels to pass the movies that I like. But if we ask our students, that's way different of their reality. In fact, what they did is that they were born and surrounded by a lot of devices and technology. And there's nothing we can do to change that other than adapt ourselves to the changes that are happening and will continue happening, right? So knowing that our generation is different from them, let's go to our next slides. We know that our students are digital natives, and nowadays we don't only face that they are surrounded by devices, but as well as that, we also have artificial intelligence or AI expanding and impacting their lives every day. AI is our present and it's going to be our future. So, what if we could engage them with AI powered interactive learning experiences that make English enjoyable? What if we can use AI tools to our advantage while they learn English and improve their skills in a creative and enjoyable way? That's why today we would talk about how AI assisted language learning, innovations in English and teaching can impact the lives of our students in their learning of English and our teaching as well, making it more easy and practical and obviously more significant. Before continuing, I would like to introduce myself. I am Fatima Baeza, commonly known as Miss Fati or Miss Fati Tips. I'm a passionate of technology and how technology can impact a student's life within the classroom, how we can use it effectively to share what we learned and what we can teach with them. And not only that, I also like to share this knowledge with teachers so they can improve and impact their learnings. So just for you to know me and have like a background of me, this is who I am. And now let's go with how can I help you or impact your teaching using AI. Today, our objective is to understand the role of artificial intelligence in language learning. Meanwhile, we explore artificial intelligence tools that can enhance and improve our English teaching and therefore our students' English learning. Meanwhile, we learn about practical ways to integrate AI and addressing ethical concerns. I know that when we listen about AI, sometimes teachers we are scared of using it and try to encourage students to use it in an inappropriate way. So today we are not only going to dive into AI and the tools they can offer, but also how we can ethically use it and how can we teach our students to use it in a good way. And with that, we're going to start with an overview of what AI is and the impact that is currently having in language learning so far. So first of all, what is AI. We're going to understand what AI is. And by that, I mean that artificial intelligence refers to systems that show or exhibit intelligent behavior, analyzing, solving problems, making suggestions, and taking other actions according to achieve specific goals. And by all of this, there's something of a degree of autonomy. And by that, we also know that for AI to work, there's people behind it that set it in, that coding the AI and goes behind the program to set it up. However, after this process, AI can work on itself. And that's why a lot of sites or a lot of big pages and companies and webs use AI to have it like kind of an assistant, right? So they can so the AI can give answers to customer 24/7 to questions that aren't as complex. But how is the role of AI in education? Why is it important? Or what has to do with education? We know that AI can give a lot of answers, and sometimes our students can use those answers as the whole truth. However, it's important that as teachers, we help them understand the role of AI in education and how can they use it properly to learn. So, in education, artificial intelligence can offer different tools and teaching methods to teachers, and moreover, it can offer us the possibility to do something that is very difficult, and it's customized learning. We know that we have classrooms sometimes that are filled with 30, 40, even here in Mexico, 50 kids at once. And customized learning, it's a big um, role to play. It's a big activity to do. And we know that we teachers face that big challenge of adapting our teaching to each one of those needs of our students' needs. And even when we teachers are superheroes that can identify our group's needs, it can be exhausting and complex to adapt all of our activities or our way of teaching to all of those needs. So that's when AI becomes our ally. Sometimes teachers tend to see at artificial intelligence as an enemy or as a substitute. However, it can be our ally in helping our students learning and our students learn based on their needs and how we're going to accomplish. And by far, is it already happening? We know that AI is an emerging technology, and even though it's emerging, there are a lot of studies that are recently made on how the impact of AI has been in education. For example, this is a quote that I took from a study that was here at Mexico City, and it's from Zamora et al. It was for a magazine called Ciencia Latina. So here they told us that they find out that AI apps are effective in improving several aspects of a student learning, especially in conceptual understanding and knowledge retention. This was based on a studio or a research in which they found out that AI apps could improve all of those aspects in areas in which more than the 64% of the students that were part of the study noticed significant improvements. So we know that AI can be good for our teaching, but how? That's when our tools come in. Here, it's an important slide. If you can take a screenshot, I would encourage it to do it, because here it's like a big group of AI tools that are going to be so helpful for your teaching. And I'm sure that maybe in the future, at least one of them, you are going to use it, or maybe you have been using them already. We're going to start with different types of AI tools that will help our English learning. And we have them categorized in 4 categories. We have the chatbots for conversation practice, AI-powered writing assistance, speech recognition and pronunciation, and the creation of educational materials. Yes, teachers, we can also help ourselves into creating materials that are easy to do and that are practical, that we can do it very fast, and that also are going to impact our students' learning. So on the first part, in the chatbot for conversation practice, I want to share with you 4 apps, sites, or tools that are going to be so helpful for you. The first one, it's one of the most famous, is ChatGPT. With parental or an adult supervision, kids can have a safe and guided conversations with ChatGPT, in which they can ask about speaking, they can make a story, they can solve a problem or ask them to solve a problem and have a conversation. However, if you are starting with AI, it's important that you direct this interaction. The kids need to be supervised, teenagers, students, before they use it on their own. Because as it is an emerging technology, of course it's wonderful, but kids need a guidance on how to use it. And that's what the role of the teachers, in the role of the parents, comes in hand. So we have ChatGPT. Duolingo is amazing. It's pretty safe. It includes AI powered and conversations in a gamified way, which is awesome. And you not only need to want to be learning English, you can also learn or want to learn other languages, which is great. You can learn Korean. You can even have music classes, which is amazing. And if we are talking about kids that are younger, and that we will also like them to have conversation practice maybe at home, we can suggest Lingo Kids. It's a great app. Here, they use AI to create interactive conversations and role plays, which kids love. And they also have scenarios in which they can practice and put in practice their vocabulary and their grammar. So it's like a game for them, but it's very, very good in terms of the topics that they use and their vocabulary. And in case you have teenagers, that sometimes they are the ones that can be difficult to catch their attention, there's a site called Replica. Replica is a 10 friendly version of AI. Here they can have practical and social and conversations in a safe and guided way. So it's fun, but it's also safe for them, which is very important in terms of AI. And at the end, we're going to talk about some tips that you can take for your kids and your students to learn how to use AI safely, which is important. And then we have the AI powered writing assistance. Grammarly is well known. I think at least one ad for sure you have seen. Grammarly is great for checking grammar, spelling, and style. If you're a teacher and sometimes you are typing and you have a typo, Grammarly is always there to have your back, which is pretty good. I know that teachers sometimes we are so exhausted that our grammar is not the best after a whole day of planning. So it's good to have a filter that's helping us have that in order. Then we have Quillbot. Quillbot is a powerful paraphrasing tool that helps rewrite sentences. Meanwhile, we maintain the meaning. Quillbot is an amazing tool as well. You can use it for students to develop their imagination into paraphrasing, to try to compete with the AI, because remember, how you use it in the classroom, it's how they're gonna feel it's okay to use it too. So depending on the activities that you put, on how you put it, and how you use AI in the classroom, students would start using these tools in a proper way. Then we have Storybird. Storybird is awesome. It encourages creative writing with visual prompts. They have images there that students can use to create tales, to create stories, and obviously they have AI assisted guidance, which is amazing. But Storybird, it's so good to bolster our creativity in terms of writing. Then we have Boom Writer. And in Boom Writer, students can create collaborative stories and they can even publish them, which is great. And they have like this partnership with other well-known authors. Here, students, they have like a chapter in which they read a story and then they have to complete the second chapter. And in this part, there are some authors that did a partnership with this site. One of them is the writer of the Diaries of a Wimpy Kid, that it's like a huge success for kids. And kids can complete this chapter. They can create more chapters and do a story among their group. And the fantastic thing about Boom Writer is that at the end, you can publish the story and you can even ask parents to buy a copy of the book that their kids made. So can you imagine how awesome is that, and how encouraging is that for students? That's for kids is a must and they love it. And we have here also the Canva Magic Write. A lot of teachers use Canva either for designing their materials or with their kids, thanks to Canva for Education, that it's free for kinder to, I think, high school or junior high, more or less, depend on your country. But here in this tool, it's like having chat gpt but within Canva. So students can create books, they can create sentences, of course with your guidance and the application. And after all these writing assistants that help us dearly, then we have speech recognition and pronunciation. One of them is a speech link. In a speech link, you can record the voice of your students or your voice and use a speech link AI system to provide instant feedback of the pronunciation. And not only that, they offer advice on how to improve your pronunciation, on which letters maybe you are not pronouncing very well. So SpeechLink, it's great to improve pronunciation with kids. Then we have Elsa Speak, that maybe could be for more like teenager students. Even for me, I try to use it to improve my speaking. You know that when you're a teacher that is not a native speaker, that you are from a foreign language, sometimes the accent can be different and pronunciation can be tricky. And with Elsa, not only you improve your pronunciation, but they tell you and they give you specific feedback, and they can customize the lessons according to your pronunciation needs. So Elsa Speak is not only for students, it's also for teachers. You can improve a lot. We have Youglish. Youglish, it's similar to YouTube. You can see it on the icon there. And something very interesting about Youglish is that it uses YouTube videos or fragments of YouTube videos to show you how words are pronounced in different contexts by native speakers. So if you type, I don't know, knowledge, they're going to show you a fragment of a video where the word knowledge is. Even you can write riddles or tongue twisters there. And if there's a video, it's going to appear. This is great for pronunciation, for students to have like a background knowledge of how their words are supposed to sound, they are supposed to be pronounced. So Youglish, it's very, very good. And it's a site that you don't have to download anything. You can just enter and you can use it for the classes. I'm going to show you some activities that you can do with some of these tools in a moment. And in case you are a teacher that have kids that may have problems with pronunciation or speech, there's this app that is great, that is Speech Blocks. It's designed for kids with speech delays, but it's very, very helpful for kids in general. And this app uses AI for speech therapy and pronunciation improvement, customized to the user. So when you log in, you have like different activities and exercises for the student to do or the kid to do, and according their the improvement on how they're doing, their development, they are giving you more activities to improve their speech, which is amazing. This is a great, great app. Finally, we're gonna get to the apps that are maybe more for teachers or to reduce our heavy workload that we always have. And one of them, I'm sure you know it, is Magic School AI. Magic School has an AI system that can help you generate lesson plans. However, as teachers, we know that this is just like a prompt. This is a way to start a lesson plan. However, you would always end up in tailoring this lesson according to your students, according to your needs. However, the ideas, the classroom activities that it can give you, or the feedback that can let you use, it's always wonderful. Okay. And then after that, we have two apps that are amazing, and I'm sure that you also have used them. Is one of them is Quizzes and Kahoot. Both are pretty similar, even though they have their differences, but they have adapted AI to their system. And here you can create engaging quizzes in just minutes with their AI generated questions. So if you have your presentation, your PDF, you can upload it either to Kahoot or to Quizzes, and there will try to search like questions that are interesting according to the content of the file that you upload. This is a time saver. Of course, you can always add questions that you would like students to listen to or answer. So you can always add and customize, but it's a big help instead of doing it one by one. And finally, we have Canva as well. Canva have magic tools, In Canva, the word magic relates to AI. So everything that it's magic something is because it's an AI tool. So we have Magic Lab to create images with Magic Media also. And there's a new feature that I want to show you that is pretty great, and that is gonna help you a lot. That is the AI voice tool. And of course, you can use all these tools to make ebooks, to make presentations, to tailor your classes and your materials to your students' needs. Okay, now, after having all these apps, why AI works? Why do we think AI is important and then we use it? First of all, it provides instant feedback and corrections. This is great because imagine having to have feedback of all of your students. Sometimes there are a lot, and there are some things that are general that AI can help us with, and it's always easier to add comments to a work that was already done. So, of course, it's not that we're gonna base our entire class on AI, but it's a great tool to start working on to save time. And in case of these apps that students can have in their houses, well, the teacher is not there. So for them to have a safe and reliable feedback, it's important. Remember that we still have to be paying attention on how reliable the app that we're using is, but in case of some apps like speech blocks are very reliable. Then we have it adjusts to individual learning needs. This is great when we are either talking with Elsa Speak that tries to give us activities that are based on our pronunciation, when we are talking about ChatGPT or other apps like Youglish, they try to give you what you need, which is great. And enhances engagement and motivation. Students are thrilled of using technology in the classroom. We know that it's not always, that it has its moments, but when we use it and we use it with a good purpose, they can have so much fun and they can understand the purpose of the activity very well. And I have a very good example of that. Now, let's talk about some practical AI activities for English teachers. These are some activities that I want to share with you that can help you to start introducing AI in the classroom. And here it's not only that. I hope that with these activities, you can start thinking on how you can implement AI in your classroom. And if you have ideas, meanwhile we are seeing these activities, you can put it in the chat. I'm sure a lot of teachers would love to read your comments about how these activities can be adapted to different backgrounds or subjects. One of the activities that we can use to improve speaking and pronunciation, it's a pronunciation challenge. You can turn an activity into a fun game with the objective of improving pronunciation by listening to real world examples. And here we can select tricky words. We can even ask students if there are words that they don't know how to pronounce. If we listen to our kids that there are words that are kind of tricky, we can even make a list. We can even put them like in post-its and have our yard of tricky words and do one per day. And after that, after we select and we have our tricky words, we can use Youglish to find from 3 to 5 video clips with that word. You just have to enter to Youglish, and they have a search bar like YouTube, so you can write there the word or even the phrase that you need, and they would show you clips of that certain vocabulary that you search for. Then we have, of course, students listen and repeat and focus on the pronunciation of that word to see who can pronounce it very well. And this can work good with students that are for foreign countries. Because maybe if you are in an English speaking country, students have more contact with how these words are pronounced. They have more in contact with English in real life situations. In foreign languages, in foreign countries like Mexico, like Colombia, Brazil, it could be difficult to have that practice. So in your classroom, you can invite people from all over the world through English and through their videos to share their accent and their pronunciation with your kids. And after they repeat and they are trying to make their most with their pronunciation, we can use AI speech tools like Google Assistant, Elsa Speak to compare if what we are saying is correct or not, or even you can record your students' voices and receive feedback from AI tools like Speechly. In that way, we have a challenge, and maybe the next day we can start with the challenge. We can finish the day with the pronunciation challenge and start with the previous class and work we will practice in. So each day we have a little moment to focus on pronunciation. Then we have a writing and grammar activity. Here we have Grammar Detective with Grammarly. It's important that we as students and that we empower them to be detectives of grammar and not only rely on AI. Here we can identify and practice correcting grammar mistakes. Give them the moment to be the teachers, to look for those grammar mistakes. So here we can have in there a sentence or a small paragraph in which we write intentionally grammar mistakes, and it's important that we let them know. And after that, we can either ask our students to try to correct them by themselves and then compare to AI, or for them to use the AI to correct the errors and then try to find where the errors were and why those changes happen. Remember that detectives not only find things, but they have to explain their case. So in this case, they need to explain why they think the AI corrected those mistakes. So here you can also ask students to create sentences or small paragraphs and have this detective spy kind of class about grammar. And this is one of my favorite activities. This one I implemented with my third grade students, and I want to show you some pictures because it was amazing. And until this day, they're still asking me for this. So in this activity, what they did is that students chose an animal and to create a fantasy animal. They did a description because this was our topic. And they wrote a description about this fantasy animal. So after they did a description either of an animal, of the topic that you like, we can put that description into Dreamlab. Dreamlab is an app of Canva that creates images from descriptions. So this was a great topic because we could identify the importance of descriptions, of adjectives, of numbers, colors on descriptions, because sometimes they got an idea, but as they didn't use the proper adjectives or body parts of the animals, the idea they had in their heads, it was not the same as the one appeared in the AI. So here we can make them see why descriptions and adjectives are important, and they have a lot of fun. Until this day, they're still asking me. We can have a reading, predictive reading name with a prompt from the AI. We can ask our students to predict what happens next. And then we can ask the AI to complete the story. With this activity, we can show kids that creativity is something that maybe the AI it's not that advanced on. Every story could be different, and that's the point, because each one of them would have their ability to create the story. So they can compare and contrast, and they can have fun. Finally, we can have audiobooks with AI, with tools like the AI voice on Canva. You can create both audiobooks that have stories that you can listen to, and you can have students answer those questions. When you enter on Canva and you click on the text, you have a little pencil with the sparkles. When you click there, you have other questions regarding AI, like shorten the text, change the mood, and down below, you can add AI voice. So when you do that, what this app does is that they read the text that you choose. So you can create ebooks. Even students can do that, and it's so much fun. And you can put accents, which is great, so they can see the differences in accents. So we are going to be wrapping up a little bit. And we know that we have benefits and challenges. And one of the benefits is personalized learning. We can have automated tasks, accessibility and inclusion. And in this one, we can support students with disability using tools like text to speech. We can create engagement and creativity. And we can assist teachers in tracking the progress of their kids with these tools, like, for example, the Kahoot and Quiz is one. But the challenges are also important. And one of them is bias and misinformation. AI may reflect biases because they collect data, the data available. So it's important that we ask kids to think if that is correct, or maybe if it's not a fact, if it's biased. We need to teach students that we cannot put our data, neither our age, address, those are sensitive data that we cannot put there. And all of this, it goes with the teacher teaching. The way they see that you use the AI and you reinforce that, they're gonna know how to use it properly. And here, how can we teach our students to use AI ethically? First of all, we need to let them know that AI is a tool. It's not a replacement for thinking. If you observe all the activities that we did, we use it as a tool. And the main actor was the student. The student was the one that was doing something. It wasn't our assistant. It was not the center of our activity. It's important to always check. We can have students ask AI something and then find information online with reliable sources. Again, avoid sharing personal and sensitive data. And here we can explain how AI works. Finally, it's important that our students know their academic integrity and that we promote digital literacy. Remember, intelligence is about imagination and the ability to think beyond the truth of today. But it's also about asking and curiosity. And that is something that AI, it's not better than us. So with that, I want to thank you for being part of this presentation, and I hope that those tips can help you. You can follow me on my social media or send me an email and I'll be there. Thank you so much.